My name's Jeremy Tomley.
Spike Richards with Saber Bats.
My name is Tasha Messer-Williams.
Benjamin Green.
My name is Seth Bories, and I am a modern-day bladesmith.
Whether it's down-home Southern cooking, skilled craftsmanship, or beautiful artwork, Mississippi is full of amazing people and amazing stories. So let them tell you what it means to be made in Mississippi.
My name is Benjamin Green, and I'm the head brewer of Southern Prohibition Brewing. Southern Prohibition is a brewery that was started in 2013 here in Hattiesburg, Mississippi. You know, growing up in Hattiesburg, coming of age, getting ready to start, drinking beer at 21, there just wasn't a lot of options. It was something that was a little bit newer in this part of the country. Other parts of the United States, there's a bustling brewery scene, and I found comfort in local homebrew, essentially. So kind of making friends with people that homebrewed and, shared opinions about craft beer in general, European beer styles, different things like that. I have a deep running passion. I could sit here and talk a long time about beer. There's, so many different beer styles, so many different techniques, things that fall out of favor, come back, style-wise. It's just really interesting. I think that I started my journey essentially in different states, places like Florida and Louisiana, and going down there and tasting these crazy beers that had these awesome labels and these weird names and I didn't know anything about. So I went up and did a beer course in Wisconsin, came back down and was getting ready to fill out job applications. At the time, I believe Lazy Magnolia was the only brewery in the state. Southern Prohibition didn't really exist in this form yet. I was good friends with John Nill, the owner of the Keg and Barrel. He had a brew pub license at the time and a little bit of equipment, and was like, hey, why don't you come over here and you can start making some different beers here while you're filling out applications, and we'll just see where it goes. Fast forward a year and a half later, and it just kind of snowballed, and the Southern Prohibition was just kind of thrown in my lap at that point. I got really lucky in that regard, where I was able to kind of get my foot in the door and start making creative decisions pretty much immediately. When we're starting off with our brewing process here, whether it's a new beer or an old beer, there's basically an order of operations that needs to happen. So essentially we're taking our grain, so we have wheats and barley and oats and all these different grains. We're getting all our sugars from these grains. So you mainly get your color of your beer, aka dark beers have dark grains, and we're gonna crack them in a mill. The reason why we want to do that is we're exposing the starchy part of that grain, the inside part. We're gonna mix that with a very specific degree of water depending on the recipe, and that hot water is going to convert the starch to sugar. After we're bringing all this up to a boil, we're adding our hops, and using that hop, we're basically cooking at that point. We're balancing out sweetness with bitterness depending on the beer style. Later on, we're going to add our yeast, push the beer into a clean, sanitary environment where that yeast can start eating that sugar to create alcohol. Not until that yeast is finished eating the sugar do we actually call it beer. It's worked all the way up until the final product when it's an alcoholic beverage at that point.
Watch the full episode on the WDAM 7 Plus app, the WDAM 7 YouTube page, or online at WDAM.com/MadeInMS.